You're watching the QTV main news. The headlines: a police officer has been shot dead while two others are nursing injuries after being mistaken for armed criminals by another officer. Lands Minister Jean Kapata says all structures built on illegally acquired land will be demolished in the next 15 days. At least 12 people have been killed in an attack in Kenya, believed to have been carried out by Islamist militants from Somalia. With the details, my name is Michelle Malunga. One police officer has died while two others are nursing injuries after a shooting incident which happened this morning at about 7 hours at the Great East Road barrier a few meters from the airport roundabout in Lusaka. In a statement, police spokesperson Esther Katongo says the incident happened when four Chipata-based police detectives who had gone to Chongwe on investigations in the company of a suspect were proceeding to Lusaka to apprehend another suspect after recovering a firearm in Chongwe. Ms. Katongo says that during the time the officers were proceeding to Lusaka, Chalimbana police received a phone call from a member of the public that there was a group of heavily armed criminals who were driving from Chongwe proceeding to Lusaka, hence alerted an officer operating at the barrier near airport roundabout, Inspector Mukoka, who later closed the barrier. She narrates that when the police officers from Chipata reached the barrier and found it closed, one officer, Detective Sergeant Capolio, disembarked from the vehicle with the view of finding out whether there were officers at the point, and when there was no response, he went ahead to open the barrier, and that it was at that point that the police officer stationed at the checkpoint, Inspector Mukoka, opened fire, shooting Sergeant Capolio in the chest after mistaking the officers for the criminals he was earlier alerted about. Ms. Katongo says the officer at the checkpoint fired another shot which grazed Detective Chief Inspector Chilumbu in the neck, and the same bullet hit the driver of the motor vehicle, Detective Inspector Banda, in the neck, and he died on the spot. Ms. Katongo states that Detective Sergeant Capolio and Detective Inspector Chilumbu are both admitted to the intensive care unit at Levi Manawasa General Hospital, while the body of the deceased is in the same hospital mortuary. She adds that an inquiry has since been instituted in the matter. Lands and Environmental Protection Minister Jean Kapata says all structures built on illegally acquired land will be demolished in the next 15 days. Ms. Kapata has told Parliament in a ministerial statement on the current illegal occupation of private and public land across the country that government will not tolerate any person to illegally settle on any land which does not belong to them. Ms. Kapata has since appealed to all Zambians not to illegally invade land which is not theirs. She adds that government will soon conduct a land audit and ensure that officers of the Ministry of Lands selling land illegally face the wrath of the law. Ms. Kapata says government has noted with sadness the behavior of some officers of the Ministry of Lands who have been selling land illegally. She adds that people who have obtained land illegally will appear before the Land Tribunal and risk forfeiting their land to the state. Ms. Kapata has warned that government will ensure that all illegal land occupiers are dealt with sternly. Ms. Kapata has further appealed to all members of the public to report any illegal land activities to the Task Force on Illegal Land Acquisition. And Ms. Kapata says her ministry has been working with local authorities across the country to open up new areas for development under the Land Development Fund program. Government has released 125 million kwacha to pay farmers who have delivered maize to the Food Reserve Agency. Agriculture Minister Dora Silia says government owes farmers 474 million kwacha. She says the release of the funds will enable farmers to prepare for the forthcoming agricultural season. Speaking when addressing journalists at Parliament today, Ms. Elia regretted that it has taken this long to pay farmers who had supplied maize to the Food Reserve Agency attributing the delay to lack of funds. She has since assured farmers that government is committed to ensure that they are paid their monies once the Ministry of Finance releases the remaining monies. She says government has so far paid 73.1 million kwacha to farmers, leaving a debt of 401 million kwacha. Ms. Elia says government hopes to dismantle the debt it owes to farmers by the end of this year. Ms. Elia says the Ministry of Finance has assured her ministry that it will release a further 225 million kwacha next week. We take a break. We'll be back after this.
Hatch your eggs the right way. Order the best and high-quality incubators today. Order today from Power Express, the distributors of Bledge incubators at very discounted prices, like a 96 capacity at only 3,000 kwacha, a 264 capacity at only 5,100 kwacha, a 528 capacity at only 7,200 kwacha, a 880 capacity at only 8,200 kwacha, a 1,056 capacity at only 11,200 kwacha. You can say Christmas came early. This is a gift from Bledge to all poultry farmers this summer brooding period. Bledge incubators, hatch your way. Hatch your eggs the right way. Order the best.
It's in the juice. Just juice. Real juice.
We continue with the news. The United Nations Programme on HIV and AIDS, UNAIDS, has set fast-track targets on HIV prevention and treatment aimed at ending AIDS by 2030 in Zambia, Malawi, Swaziland and Zimbabwe. SAFED's team leader, Goni Chikubire, says the targets include reducing new infections by 2030. Mr. Chikubire says the fast-track targets, which have been coined 90-90-90 goals, will seek to have 90% of people know their HIV status, 90% of treatment, and 90% have viral suppression. In pursuit of these targets, SAFED's Zambia has since launched a one-year campaign project dubbed Rock Leadership 90 program, which is aimed at strengthening the capacity of the 120 traditional leaders in the 4 target countries to champion and lead the response to ending HIV by 2030. Mr. Chikubire says the project in Zambia will be implemented in Kafue district, where 30 traditional leaders are expected to be trained on how they would spearhead the projects in their respective communities. Mr. Chikubire says that once the traditional leaders have been capacitated, they will be able to lead their respective communities to increase uptake of HIV testing and counseling, HTC. He was speaking during a disseminating meeting with stakeholders and some traditional leaders in Lusaka this morning. And speaking at the same event, SAFED's country director, Crispin Chomba, says the program is based on evidence-based model where the community response is determined by the needs of the community through a consultative approach. Mr. Chomba says the project will also build an evidence base through community-led mapping of the local HIV response, including critical structures that are and can support the response and perceptions around HIV risk. He says the organization, with its partners, will ensure that all the 25 health facilities in Kafue district receive HIV testing counseling kits. Mr. Chomba notes that Kafue is a developing district with multiple interlocking drivers for HIV. Members of the Commission of Inquiry appointed to probe the causes of the political violence before, during and after the elections have been advised to come up with solid recommendations on how the country can end political violence. Young African Leaders Initiative Yali Governance Advisor Isaac Mwanza has told QTV News that the Commission will be doing the nation a disservice if they leave out their recommendations on how the nation can move forward and avoid violence. Mr. Mwanza adds that it is hoped that the findings of the Commission will be made public as opposed to what has been happening, where the government fails to publish the findings.
Zambia must find a solution to the ever-increasing political violence which has been happening in this country. And if the Commission of Inquiry is able to provide some of the recommendations, for instance, what role did the police play in inciting the public to rise against each other and commit these atrocious acts? Those are the things that we need to be dealing with. It is not just about people that were fighting, it was about the root causes of the political violence. Sometimes it's embedded in the law, the way the Zambia police were implementing the law, which probably others felt that it was unfair. And so we believe that the Commission of Inquiry must be allowed to do the job and be able to bring up some recommendations. We have noted the interest of stakeholders and comments from other stakeholders that we needed political parties on this Commission of Inquiry. Yes, it was important to include the political parties, but these are the same political parties that were actually fighting and committing violence against each other. And when you bring the people that you are trying to investigate on such an inquiry, it means that you are going to have problems, because they will always be nagging each other, telling each other to say, apportioning blame to each other.
Meanwhile, human rights lawyer Mono Mapani says appointment of the Commission of Inquiry might jeopardize and undermine cases that are before the court of law, bordering on political violence. He says the president should have waited until all such cases are disposed of by the courts of law.
And of that, how many commission of inquiries are we going to have in this country when the citizens are denied information after everything has been concluded? And looking at our current economic position, we have no resources to spend on issues that will not be even communicated to the people, the citizens of this country after the conclusion. We have serious issues that ought to be debated now. And for Eddie Galungu, we want to tell him that Commission of Inquiries were set before, he's aware. People of Zambia have been denied information from those commissions. And why should people of Zambia now pay attention to this commission? And the same commission, like we said before, the actual root of it is before the courts. Let's wait for the courts to conclude the matter that are before them, and then that's when maybe we might look at part 3 if it will be necessary.
Works and Supply Minister Ronald Chitotela says works on the modernization of Kenneth Kaunda International Airport have reached an advanced stage and will be completed on schedule. Mr. Chitotela has told Parliament in a ministerial statement on the progress made on the construction project that overall works for the whole project currently stands at 33% complete. He says the project has so far created over 1,000 skilled and unskilled jobs for Zambians and 187 for Chinese nationals, of which 135 are specialized staff. Mr. Chitotela says the numbers of Zambian workers on the project is expected to increase as the work progresses. Mr. Chitotela has assured the Zambian people that the government is keen to ensure that the Kenneth Kaunda International Airport expansion project is carried out as planned. We take another break. Do stay tuned for more.
launching your business. This time around, we are at Okadeco Office Furniture Store, Oka Trends. Here, you can get the very best of office furniture at very affordable prices. Now, these tables are executive, and I know that's definitely what's best for your office. Now, if you're looking to get yourself into the executive mood anywhere in your house, and I mean anywhere, Okadeco is definitely the place to be for you. You can get to Okadeco and get the very best of climbing material. If you're looking to get yourself a pedestal pan or maybe a tumbler holder, a paper holder, this is definitely the place to be. After a busy day at work, now the best thing that you can get home to is a luxurious bed. And this you can get at Okadeco. You can get all this at very affordable prices, and you will definitely enjoy your rest and be ready for the next day. Ladies love matching things, from matching clothes to matching curtains, but at Okadeco you can get matching curtains regardless of what color your home is, because there's a wide variety of curtains regardless of what color your home is. You can get any type of curtain at Okadeco. Okadeco, along Kafua Road.
Hey, brother, there's an endless road to rediscover. Oh, the sky comes falling down. There's nothing in this world I wouldn't do. What if I'm far from home? Oh, brother, I will hear you call. There's nothing in this world.
You're still watching the QTV News. National Restoration Party NARIP Secretary General Mavuto Mwanza has defected to the ruling Patriotic Front along with the provincial executives for Luapula, Northern, Southern and Eastern provinces. Others who have defected to the ruling PF include some senior members in Lusaka, Kafue and Chongwe districts, and receiving the defectors led by Mr. Mwanza and NARIP Lusaka Province Chairman Brian Mpundu. PF Lusaka Province Chairman Horace Longwe says the PF has already started preparing for the 2021 general election. He says the people wishing to faithfully serve the nation are free to join the ruling party. Mr. Longwe says the PF has forgotten about its August 11th election victory and is focusing on 2021.
Instead of looking at tribes which will vote for PF, instead we'll always be looking at people who are joining PF, because the strength of a political party is by the people who join it. And in politics, the numbers count. If you have more numbers, then you have outdone your colleague. In fact, His Excellency President Museveni stated that in a race, if you are running and your nose touches the tape, the finishing end, then you have won that race, no matter how close the other contender is. So it's from this, and we have started preparing the party for 2021. It will be a crucial election, I know. And in this preparation, we start today. We have forgotten about the victory of 2016, and we are looking forward for another victory in 2021. And in between, we have by-elections, which I think as a political party, we need to look at and consider those to be won. Unfortunately, our colleagues in the opposition, they are still bitter, talking about us to have stolen an election from them. And, well, it's up to them. By the time they will realize 2021 is on the corner, and the PF will be geared. The PF machinery is ever ready.
And former NARIP Secretary General Mavuto Mwanza says the former NARIP members have seen the quality leadership skills in President Edgar Lungu and want to be part of the team in delivering development to the nation.
Majority or 3/4 of the NARIP membership has come with us, and the reason is simple and straightforward. The party cannot match the PF leadership. What attracts members is the leadership style, and members in the process build confidence in the leadership. That's the reason why NAREP, even from the time I took office, we are losing members every day. But I will not go into detail the reasons why. But for your own information, NAREP is limping as at now. But it's not my fault, really. It's a decision that the people have made. I don't think you can force a horse to drink water. Yes, they've seen that PF is a productive family. And why be with a team that is not consistent to start with? You see, PF is a national party which has an open door policy. Everyone is welcome. And that is what attracted most of us. You get the point, and we've seen a lot of development around the country. Some political parties, I will not mention which ones, you know, the way they are managed is what scares away even those would-be members.
The National Union for Small-Scale Farmers of Zambia, NUSFAS, has welcomed the move by government to ban the exportation of maize. Union President Frank Kayula says the rate at which maize is being taken out of the country is worrying and that banning its export is the best move for now. Dr. Kayula says if the act is left unchecked, the country is likely to run out of the commodity, thereby threaten the country's food security. He notes that the maize leaving the country is more than what the Food Reserve Agency, FRA, has bought in the ongoing marketing season. Dr. Kayula states that the exportation of the commodity should only be allowed once it has been ascertained that the country has enough stock. He has since appealed to the Ministry of Agriculture to take stock of the amount of maize the country has before allowing the export of the commodity. Mines and Minerals Development Minister Christopher Yaluma has reaffirmed the government's commitment to fully diversify Zambia's mining sector. Mr. Yaluma says uranium is one such mineral government wants mined on the large scale as a part of the diversification of the sector. He has told QTV News that to this effect, there is serious prospecting for uranium going in the country. Mr. Yaluma says the two companies that were earlier prospecting for uranium in Siavonga have all resumed their explorations for the mineral. He says government is also encouraging other investors to come forth and prospect for uranium across the country.
Generation power stations, nuclear power, and as it is right now, yes, it seems like Zambia at one point in time will go that route. Right now we are very seriously prospecting for uranium. There are two companies who have been prospecting for uranium in the country, in Siabonga area, and they slowed a little bit down because after the accident in Japan, which triggered the prices of uranium going down. So, but as I speak right now, there are renewed efforts to concentrate on the exploration of uranium. So we are going in the right direction, and we are encouraging other investors to come around and prospect across our country for uranium. This is the way we might go in the next few years and focus on nuclear power.
We take another break. Do stay tuned for more news.
There are moments in our lives that live forever. Moments like witnessing the thunderous call of a natural wonder, or experiencing the roar of the wilderness as its residents come to life, and the lively slither of a river teeming with untamed wildlife. There are moments in our lives that live forever. Moments like experiencing the adrenaline rush of close encounters with nature's thrills. The exquisite indulgence of luxurious treats kissed by the radiance of the African sky. The rhythmic movement of a people in celebration, whose tranquility and peace touch the hearts of those they encounter. There are moments in our lives that live forever. Many of them begin here. Zambia, one destination, a million adventures. Zambia, let's explore.
Have some manzi, pure natural manzi. You can have it anytime, anywhere. Hey, manzi.
Welcome back. People's Alliance for Change PAC President Andiford Banda is appealing to government to be open and communicate better on issues pertaining to the IMF bailout program. He says open and honest communication will help the people of Zambia to prepare for eventualities. Mr. Banda says the decision by the government to remove fuel subsidies should have been done gradually. Mr. Banda is therefore calling on government to make better communication choices as the country's development is dependent on good communication.
So we want the government to be more open, to be more engaging with the stakeholders who are the Zambian people in order to ensure that, this issue of the IMF and the removal of subsidies in order to recover from this economic crisis, is handled properly. And we also hope that the government is not in any way, borrowing again and, we are trying to solve this hole and we're opening another hole. I think what we want to see more of responsibility from the government.
The Professional Teachers Union of Zambia ProTEUS has backed calls for an Indaba to discuss the way forward with regards examination malpractices. ProTEUS General Secretary Kangwa Musenge says the levels of exam malpractices in Zambia are worrying. Mr. Musenge says it is prudent that stakeholders in the education sector come together and find solutions to the increasing cases of exam malpractices, considering the impact they have on the delivery of quality education in the country. Meanwhile, the ProTEUS General Secretary has called on both teachers and pupils participating in the Grade 12 examinations, which have started today, to desist from engaging in exam malpractices.
We support the call by the National Action for Quality Education in Zambia because this is an issue which has become a national pandemic, the exam leakages. So what certainly will further suggest is to go even further than this investigation. We have to interrogate this situation so that next year, we either eradicate completely the exam leakages or we reduce it to the furthest. But as the grade 12 begin writing the exams, we want to sound a very serious warning to those who are in the habit of cheating pupils, that they have leakages. I think they're eroding the national character of the national exams. Such teachers won't be protected and the law must take its course. Equally, the pupils must understand that to pass an exam, you must study.
Save the Children International has observed the need for Zambia to enhance social protection for vulnerable children, and the organization says Zambia should also focus on addressing child emancipation, which has been a key issue President Edgar Lungu has been advocating for. Save the Children Zambia Advocacy and Communications Director Caroline Nenguke says her organization is hoping that the issue of social protection for children will come out strongly in the 2017 national budget speech on how the government intends to strengthen social protection for vulnerable children. Ms. Nenguke says in order to address the nutrition challenges that affect children in the country and also affects them in their education, there is need for the government to tighten up social protection for the children. And Ms. Nenguke has observed that Zambia is making steady strides in addressing the challenges that come with nutrition, more especially in children.
Because of that engagement, we have seen some progress being done. That now we are waiting for it to be a bill that is going to be passed to Parliament for debate, and that's a huge progress because, as you might understand, it takes a lot of time to actually draft a bill. So we have made a huge stride, but also in terms of trying to move the National Food and Nutrition Commission as the overarching body within the country that looks at nutrition issues. So trying to move it into a place where it has more clout or more power to actually call on other line ministries. That's a discussion that we have been having, and even today we heard from one of the parliamentarians talking about whether it actually makes sense to be under the office of the Vice President or the office of the President, or even at cabinet level, or even under the new Ministry of Planning.
She says the revision of the Nutrition Act is a step in the right direction and hopes that members of Parliament will support the revision. Politicians in the country have been advised against dragging other countries in the politics of the nation, as doing so has diplomatic consequences. Evangelical Youth Alliance International Executive Director Reverend Moses Lungu says it is dissolute for the UPND and FDD to attack the Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni in the manner they did. Reverend Lungu says attacking other respected heads of state has a huge impact on the bilateral relations Zambia enjoys. Reverend Lungu has since advised all political party leaders not to drag other countries in the political affairs of the country, as they may destroy the relations Zambia enjoys with other countries. We take a look at the stories making headlines. A police officer has been shot dead while 2 others are nursing injuries after being mistaken for armed criminals by another officer. Lands Minister Jean Kapata says all structures built on illegally acquired land will be demolished in the next 15 days. In international news, at least 59 cadets and guards have been killed after militants attacked a police college in the Pakistani city of Quetta, officials say. 3 militants wearing suicide bomb vests entered the college late on Monday, reportedly taking hostages. A major security operation lasted for hours and all attackers were killed. No group has said it carried out the attack assault, but Quetta has seen similar attacks on separatists and Islamist militants in recent years. Hundreds of trainees were evacuated from Balochistan Police College as troops arrived to repel the militants. Local media reported at least 3 explosions at the scene. The police academy is home to hundreds of students, and many of the cadets who died were killed in the blast, said Major General Sherif Afghan of the Frontier Corps. At least 12 people have been killed in an attack in Kenya, believed to have been carried out by Islamist militants from Somalia. Police in the Kenyan border town of Mandera say the attackers, thought to belong to Al-Shabaab, used explosives during the overnight attack. The main target appeared to be the guest house in the northeastern town. It is the latest in a spate of deadly attacks targeting Christians in the mainly Muslim region. Pro-Shabaab media outlets say the latest incident killed Christian Kenyans who were not from the local area. The dead included 10 people who had traveled to Mandera to stage performances in schools relating to books on the curriculum, the Daily Nation newspaper reported. Earlier this month, Al-Shabaab militants killed 6 people in an attack the group said was aimed at forcing Christians out of the area. In sports news, Zesco United Football Club says its head coach, George Lwandamina, will be in breach of contract if he signs a contract with Tanzanian side Young Africans Sporting Club. In a statement, Club Acting General Secretary Richard Mulenga says as far as the club is concerned, Lwandamina is in Monze attending a family bereavement. Mulenga says Lwandamina had asked for permission to travel to Monze and is expected to return to camp today ahead of the midweek rescheduled game against Nkwazi Football Club in Lusaka tomorrow. He says the club believes that Luandamina is aware of his contractual obligations and implications of a possible breach if it is true that he is on the verge of signing a 2-year contract with Young African Sporting Club while he has a running contract with Zesco United FC, which expires in January 2017. Mlenga adds that Zesco believes that Luandamina is a professional and is expected to behave as such. And on that note, we end the news. For these and more stories, be sure to log on to our website and also join us for our next bulletin at 10 p.m. Good evening.